150 to 200. Mainly focusing this hand-holding camera pretty far back. Try to zoom in as far as I can before going out of zoom. Okay. Yeah, that didn't do much. Okay, now on continuous autofocus. Yeah, autofocus is pretty slow and unreliable. Come on, I'm trying to focus on that plant. Focus on the plant. I'm trying to catch it in the middle, but I'm just too stupid to realize I'm trying to focus on the plant. Oh, here we go. Got it. And it's out of focus. Nice.
Hello and welcome to my show where I test lenses that I've acquired over some time for my entertainment and as well as yours. My name is Toli. I'm your neighborhood beer drinking, picture taking human. Welcome to my show. So we're taking you back to the 80s. In 1985, Michael Jordan was named Rookie of the Year. Nintendo released the NES system. And one of my favorite movies came out, Back to the Future, the first one. Yeah. Back to the Future became the highest grossing film worldwide at $381 million. You should consider subscribing. Now, this brings us back to the lens that I'm shooting on right now. Minolta Maxxum MD 72 210mm was released in 1985. It cost $192 back then, but adjusting for inflation, it is now would cost about $460. Weighing at 685 grams, I would consider it a lightweight compared to the modern f4 counterparts from Sony and Canon. This A-mount lens has an all-metal body construction with a rubberized waffle grip zoom ring. Optics are arranged in 12 elements and 9 groups. It has a 7-blade aperture. Aperture ranges from f4 to f32. Filter thread is 55mm. And the lens hood, well, it's made of thin metal. I guess this lens that I'm filming on would be considered a vintage lens, but like my question is, what makes a lens vintage? Is it the character of the image? How the waffle grip zoom ring feels in your hand? Its operation on the newer Sony A7III camera bodies? Perhaps its sharpness? My sharp? Maybe how it renders the bokeh back there? Or how it reacts to contrasting light? I don't know. But can you share your thoughts below? Why you think certain lenses would be considered vintage while others maybe not? I'm just curious.
focus breathing check. This lens has a little bit of breathing. See the board in the background, focus breathing pretty hard. Focus is a bit loud. Sounds like a freight train. It's by no means fast. It likes to take its time. Okay, I don't know if you can see it on the screen, but the shutter speed is 1/400 at f4 at ISO 100. The histogram looks right in the middle. So let's say I want to shoot at 1/50. Try to change the, and it just doesn't want to work. It basically doesn't want to change. Let's try the shutter. I'm trying to turn the shutter and it doesn't want to change either. All because the lens is currently in autofocus mode. So I want to change that to manual focus. And now I can change to become darker. I had to turn down to f16. But I don't know, the red is basically focus peaking on this camera. And I'm using a Minolta 732-210. So I guess that's one of the options to make shoot at 1/50. The second option is to use an ND filter, which I got up here. And now, because we are so crazy dark at f16, we're gonna drop this down to back to f4, and everything looks pretty good. Just got attacked by a bug.
Something interesting happens with this lens autofocus in video mode. I have noticed that A7 III only allows you to work in program auto exposure mode, which can be an issue because shutter speed can change whenever it wants, and I prefer to keep it locked at 50 when shooting 24 frames per second. In photo mode, manual exposure works as it should. However, when recording a video in photo mode, shutter speed still varies. I suspect it can only record video in program auto exposure mode. I ended up switching to a more modern lens and the issue was gone. I was able to go back to manual exposure mode and set the correct shutter speed and video mode on the camera. If you know, can you comment below why you think this is happening? It seems like autofocus is causing this issue because once the lens is set to manual focus, shutter speed can be controlled. You can always trick it with a variable ND filter if autofocus is crucial. However, this lens has a joker card. It's also macro at 4 feet away at 210 millimeters. So yeah, that's that. Naturally, the question would be, how does it perform on a crop sensor cameras? I'm sure many of you guys use crop sensor cameras. So at Canon crop, this lens would be 112 to 330 millimeter. However, I was not able to find a way to mount it to my Canon SL2. It was not apparent that an adapter existed to mount a Minolta lens onto a Canon body. So I did the next best thing and bought an A7III. It was one of the major reasons to purchase this camera. At Sony crop, it would be 105 to 315 millimeter with the use of an adapter. I bought a LA-EA4 Sony adapter for my A7III, which will be different if you're using an A6500 for example, in which case you would need an LA-EA2. Do your research though, they're quite expensive. Let's take a look at the sharpness of this lens. I'm using an A7III with a LA-EA4 adapter. So I took a picture of this gate and I'm gonna look at corner sharpness and center sharpness to determine how sharp this lens really is.
75 millimeters, f4, 1/1000th of a second, 800 ISO. Yeah, the center looks good. Corners look a little soft. This column looks a little soft. Now zooming into 105, it's definitely telling you that the corners are soft here. Center looks pretty good. It looks like it's starting to vignette at 150 millimeters. Center still looks pretty sharp, which is nice. Corners look meh, a little softer. Now 210 millimeters, same thing. At f4, corners look softer, and then the center looks much sharper. Now
it's a really interesting lens with some anonymity. I really enjoy using this lens for automotive photography. If you enjoyed this video, please help out this channel, like and subscribe, and I will make more videos for you soon. Peace!